you are listening to the Kinetic Man Podcast. I'm Stuart.
And I'm David, and we want to walk with you on the journey to living a life defined by uncommon action that is full of purpose, adventure, and meaningful relationships. Our goal is to refine our why while helping you find yours, and together achieve our best and highest purpose. In the end, we'll drive each other to leave the potential life behind and become kinetic men. Kinetic Men retreats. If you've not been to one, we're on our fourth iteration, September 27 through 29, Empire, Colorado. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You will come there, one man, you'll leave a changed man. You're going to be surrounded by a group of ninja individuals. You're going to eat. We're going to keep you active so that you don't get too fat because the food is amazing. You're going to be spoiled with just the level of the retreat. But I'll tell you, it is such a life-changing event that you are absolutely missing out if you do not participate in one of these events. So come join us. Go to thekineticman.com. Sign up. Be different. Be better. Do something. Get it.
Why are you laughing? What? Why are you laughing?
Hey, Stu, tell us a little bit about your surroundings. What's going on? What's going on?
Welcome to today's podcast from Stu's mother-in-law's closet. I am surrounded by beautiful tapestries and belts and shoes of many shapes and sizes and colors. And I'm sitting on the floor with my computer on a stool.
It does look like there was a burglary and you ran to your safe room.
It feels like a safe room. We're visiting family in Texas. All my kids are out playing with my cousins, or not cousins. What are they? Their cousins, yeah. And it's loud. So this was really the only place that we could record a podcast today. Hey,
NPR would be
I like
proud.
it, man.
Yeah.
I like it. You know what I like about it? I like your dedication. I
so
like
I'm
your dedication.
Dedicated to the cause.
And what I love is that you completely buying into the health element and the longevity element of the kinetic circle. So you're doing this entire podcast from a squat, which is absolutely phenomenal. Really good for your posture. Really great for loosening up your back. It's impressive, dude. So we're going to talk about, an hour to 2 hours here.
That'll be good.
And you could be in a squat the whole time. It's going to be amazing.
What's funny is I did squats and clean and jerks this morning for my workout. So it's even better.
Whoa. Wow. All right. Now, I'm not trying to, I'm proud of you and I applaud you. How heavy were the dumbbells that you were using?
Super heavy. They were like 20 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you have two of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, man, that's good. That's good. Hey, range of motion, baby. That's good. I like it. All right. Well, let's chit chat. So a couple weeks ago, we did a podcast on our name change, rebranding, the power of a name. And what I love about the three of us, and I want to be 100% transparent, we love doing business and partnerships. Me in particular, I'm very extroverted. The solopreneur route is something that does not appeal to me at all. Never had any desire to be a solopreneur. Can't even say it. That's how much I despise it. And obviously that's, everybody has a different view of that. For me personally, running a business by myself I would rather go work for somebody in a W-2 environment. Nothing wrong with that. Did it for 20 years with the military. I would rather do that 100 times out of 100 times versus doing something by myself. And so, as we put a lot of thought, and one of the things I love about it is not only the fellowship and the camaraderie, the laughing at Stu, like all these things that we do. I love my perspective and the way that I think and the way that I do things to be challenged by extremely capable men. And so that's one big benefit, right? And so as we were rebranding, picking names, like the number of conversations, the number of hours that went into that process was not only edifying, and not only did it grow me significantly, but it added so much depth and meaning. And hopefully that came through in that podcast, that the true passion, the work that went into doing that. And also, how much time and effort and thought we poured into that. Well, similarly with the logo, which we're unveiling, and it's, some of you have seen it on the new rebranding of the podcast and doing in the midst of shirts and hats and all that stuff. we put a ton of thought into this. It also, there was quite a bit of back and forth, frustration, anger, people getting mad at each other, but I think that's such a great part of the process. I love that part of a partnership.
We took so long to work out these names and things. I think my wife was prepared to use like the TikTok filter where the just random words come up on your forehead. She was like, I'm just going to name your company for you. Like, I'll take care of it. I'm tired of hearing about this.
See, I pulled more of a varsity move, and I only brought my wife in at the very, very, very end, because I knew I did it early, and she's like, just stop talking to me. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to roll her into my frustration and her opinion into it. And also, go the back and forth in the house. Stu, it's unavoidable because your wife is the graphic designer.
Yeah.
No wiggle.
She had lots of comments and frustrations, and there was a brief moment where there was some marital strife due to us having lots of reactions and issues with different ideas, names, colors, all the above.
Since there's 3 of us, we need to cut down. We're only allowed 1/3 of our normal opinions.
Yeah.
Good luck. And I don't think any of us are. Oh yeah, David. Stu doesn't have any opinions. So to all our listeners out there, yeah. David is the only one with strong opinions.
I'm just an easygoing.
Alpha male, 20-year military vet guys. Yep, David is the only one that has any opinions.
That's right, man. I'm just going along for the ride, man. I'm just here. I'm just easy going.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly how I describe you. And it's but what I will say is once you I think we've experienced getting to the end of a process enough times that we know that it's absolutely worth the journey, right? Like, starting a business, we know what not the end of the business, but we know when a business is up and running and it's doing what it's supposed to do, what that looks like, what that feels like, the good and the bads of that. And the same thing with going through the process of logos, the same thing of mission statements, of all these things. And I think the point is, one, you have to understand how you work, and if you want partners, right? And I know for me, this is a critical part of everything. And then you have to take the time, and you have to be empathetic, and you have to understand and be able to name and anticipate, okay, my business partners, like, I know they're going to react this way to this, and I'm okay with that because, we're going to have a conversation, right? Like, you have to be able to put yourself in a position to know who they are, and you have to desire to know them well enough and deep enough to want to go on this journey, because it's not easy. Hurt feelings abide. Like, it is what it is, but it's an awesome thing. And I'm super glad to do this with you guys. And so today we're going to talk about the logo. And again, I think these things, when you talk about a business, when you think about what the purpose of the business is for your life, all these different things, it's critical to have clarity around it, right? And whether it's your avatar, it's your logo, it's your mission, whatever it is you're doing, it's critical to take the time and not just slap something up there, because that's very transparent and people know if you're truly passionate about it or not. And so the Kinetic Man is something that we're extremely passionate about. And this logo is just another piece of that. And we just want to give you some insight into what it means to us. And so, I'll start, when you look at the logo, it looks like, 3 mountains and the Kinetic Man underneath. And here's the thought process that went behind it. So the triangle, you'll see that the mountains are triangles. And for us, there's a lot of significant meaning to the triangle. First, there's 3 angles and 3 sides. And so as men of faith and as Christians, the number 3, the power of 3, is reflected in a ton of ways. The most obvious being the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? Like, that's something that, the 3-in-1 God is something that for us is just a foundation of our lives. It's something that is the basis of everything that we do. So the Father, Son, Holy Spirit is the most obvious element of a triangle and having 3 sides. There's also this awesome verse in Ecclesiastes. It's Ecclesiastes 4:12 that demonstrates the power of 3. And it reads, "A person standing alone could be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. And I've always loved that verse because, again, as someone who has always been an extrovert, someone who always has enjoyed playing on teams, who's always loved being in a group. For me, I hear, hey man, there's justification in the Bible to not be by myself, to not be alone, to not seek this independent, what culture tells us, this independence, this I'm gonna do it on my own. There is a power in numbers, and we all know that inherently. It's just sometimes we forget because the culture tells us something different. If you're not a self-made man, and you're not a man. Well, what does that even mean, self-made man? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Nobody's we all rely on somebody. You all have to do things together. And so this is just a verse that I love, and it's the triple braided cord is not easily broken, which has been, as we go through the iterations of this business, as we go through life together, and all the challenges that happen personally, professionally, doing it together for me is a profound, deep comfort and joy. And so, when we consider the strength that we can find in others and with each other, you start to truly understand the value of a friend, of close relationships, and the fact that there is power in numbers. And I believe we were created to be together.
Yeah, man. It's doing this together, especially in threes, there are some challenges in that too, right? And it forces us to probably take a little bit longer sometimes to make decisions. As we discussed earlier, there's frustration sometimes when we're trying to have some deep meaning towards something, and but it's helping us change, because we're in this for change as well, right? And we are continually desiring growth. And the triangle also is a symbol of change. It's the delta symbol. And so we believe that you can't change being static. You can't change living a life of potential. And that's where the kinetic man comes from. We don't ever want to have someone say he had a lot of potential, right? So there's no growth in that. And we cannot be who we want to be if there's no growth. So at the Kinetic Man, we embrace challenge, we embrace change, we embrace growth, and we seek it. We seek to change, we seek to grow, we seek to put ourselves in difficult situations, we seek to be uncomfortable, and the different size triangles, we acknowledge that sometimes that change could be small by just doing kind of 1% daily growth, kind of small tweaks and changes in our daily habits. But sometimes they could be really big changes. Maybe it's a big transition, maybe it's a change from a 20-year military career to becoming an entrepreneur and starting your own business. Maybe it's becoming a stay-at-home dad after being in a corporate job for a really long time. Maybe it's just all these little changes that we can do, and we've talked about quite a few of them on podcast prior to this. But it's making small changes or big changes, deltas, whatever it is, to become better. We're always walking, we're always running. There's never a time that we're just static. We're always growing, and that's that delta symbol.
Yeah, think? Man. I think that it's it's very appropriate to have the different sizes, because again, sometimes and here's the thing about change. Sometimes we're walking, right? Like you said, Stu, sometimes the changes are small. Sometimes we're just walking. Sometimes it's a slog. Change is a slog, and it's painful because change there's always loss with change. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. There's always a loss with change. And with a loss, there's always pain. And so change, by its very nature and growth, is painful, because there's a loss to it. But it also opens the door to such great potential growth and taking, the my favorite word, potential, and turning that into something different, turning into kinetic action, turning it into something that we do. And so sometimes you're walking and sometimes you're running, man. Like sometimes you're on fire and the transition, you're excited to get out of the military or whatever it is you're transitioning out of, a new job. And while there is some loss, we experienced this yesterday in the group when we were talking about some of the changes we're doing within the Kinetic Man. While there is a sense of loss, there's also, if you've been extremely intentional, that there's such a greater opportunity in a lot of that growth, a lot of that change. Sometimes you're just running, right? But the point is, you're always be kinetic, and change is good, and we should seek it and we should embrace it. And again, it doesn't. You don't have to do, like, I was talking to a guy the other day in the group, and I'm like, hey man, sometimes the change is just acknowledging, is a change of mindset. You think, we all think, oh man, like, if I'm going to change my mindset and grow and Delta and change all this kind of stuff, then I have to like quit my job and go do something else. Like that's what no, dude. Sometimes it's recognizing where you're at, being intentional, having clarity, and then coming to the conclusion that, man, I really actually love where I'm currently at. I love my life. And that also represents a change, right? That represents a change of mindset to be like, hey man, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be in this moment. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to fully live. And even something like that, there can be a sense of loss because, well, I thought I was going to, start a business, but I'm here for now. And again, oftentimes that in and of itself is a very, very powerful thing to get your mind right, to open up other doors and take some of the negativity, take some of the what ifs, take some of the fear out, and be able to truly embrace, where you're at, so that you can then have clarity on if you want to change, grow, whatever it is it looks like. So this is just a constant motion, constant growth, constant seeking to have clarity and be better. And the Delta, that's what it's all about.
Well, yeah, let me add something that just came to mind. We've quoted John Mark Comer before, and his book Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and he talks a lot about slowing down, simplifying, making space, creating margin, and that's change too, right? And sometimes that change, that slowing down, that simplifying, that like letting go, that saying no more so you can say yes to other things, like your kids, like your family, like your health. Sometimes that change can be just as powerful or even more powerful than just, 1,000 miles an hour, hustle, grind, never a dull moment, always go, 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 never space in your calendar to just like sit and reflect. And so like for me, that's been a big experience this past year, is I've actually made change to slow down, made change to simplify, made change to actually create margin in my life so I can like reflect and journal and have quiet time and do a digital detox. And like that's been a big change for me. And in the symbology of that could be the small triangle, but in the grand scheme of things, it's been huge for me.
Yeah, dude. It makes me think about this past weekend, and so this is something that I think it's gonna be a significant lifestyle change for us. I feel it we're on the cusp of it. But last weekend I took the boys camping, met some dads out, and there's very few things that are as simple. I mean, yeah, there's prep and there's all this kind of stuff, but when you go to the mountains and you throw up the tent and you've already prepared and you have some food or whatever, like you literally, I was just completely, it was such a beautiful experience. And a lot of it is just kind of walking around the woods, sitting in a chair next to a fire. I took my boys out when it got dark. There was a clearing. I took them away from the fire and walked out a little bit, and it's super dark. I'm like, hey boys, look up, just look up. And their immediate reaction was like, oh, wow. Like it was just stars everywhere. Like, cause you don't experience that with all the, the light and the being near a city. And this weekend, we're going to go camping again. And Erica's like, I just want to go camping for my birthday. Like, I just want to go. And I'm like, oh, dude, you don't have to ask me twice. Right. And so now I'm like starting to think through just the meaning, how deep that experience was. But there were things that happened on that trip too, that like the boys just connected with other boys and they were outside and they're playing and they're immediately Lord of the Flies, like just out doing crazy boy stuff, sharpening, playing with knives. Like my little guy, my 6-year-old. And nothing against, absolutely love my wife, and moms are amazing, amazing human beings. But like sometimes when you take the moms out of the equation, the boys just there's just knives and there's sharp sticks and there are knives everywhere, and they're just doing stuff and they're having fun and they're learning and getting responsibility and being crazy. And I'll tell you, man, it was such a beautiful time. And it was, the detox is not an option. Like you can't call me. Like I'm in the mountains. Like I'm not accessible because there's just no reception, right? And so all these different elements, to your point, the simplification also adds so much depth to the relationship. My boys had a blast. It wasn't a simple weekend for them. They had a blast. It was a ton of fun. My little dude, I have a picture, the bounciest road you can imagine in an Acadia. And like just the car is rocking all over, super skinny trail. And Noah's in the back, like completely passed out, dude. And his head's just all over the place. And I'm laughing. I'm trying to take a video of it because he just was spent. But it was the sleep they got was deep. They slept. I had to wake them up on a campground. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, you boys got to get up. Like all these things, right? There was so much meaning and depth in it, and it built our relationships. And so is that simplification a step back? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. It was a huge step forward, if anything. And so I love how you highlighted that, because sometimes a simplification in the building of the white space open up doors that you never knew were there, and you can walk through them at that point. But you don't know until you give yourself some white space, right? If you're constantly on the go, you just never know. Oh, I like that. If you're constantly on the go, you never know.
You never know.
Man,
speaking of pain,
that's copyrighted. You need 2 weeks for that. And so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, speaking of pain, my legs are starting to be in pain now of
That's good.
sitting in a squat for a while.
It's good for you. It's good for you. Hey, the last thing for the triangle portion of it, it's also relatively obvious, but there's 3 of us, right? The 3 of us. Oh, snap. The 3 of us wanted to pursue our passion and live lives of purpose and intentionality. Like, it's something that was very, very meaningful for us. It was something that was very important for us. And so we created the Kinetic Man. Like this is this business came from our desires individually to be better men, and then collectively we were able to start this business and really focus on getting this in the triangle. There's no line, even if the sizes are different, and the angles may shift between acute and obtuse. Oh, look at that. But there's no line that's greater than any other line in a triangle. You have to have 3, and they all rely on each other to make a triangle, right? And so very similarly in this business, the 3 of us, none of us are greater than the other. We all rely on each other to push this ball forward, to really have this business be what we want it to be, and have this group have the depth that we want it to have. And so I love the triangle symbol because it's also emblematic of what we got going on here.
Before Steven jumps in, I'm just curious if you're talking about there's 3 triangles and there's 3 of us. Who's the little triangle in this business, and who's the big triangle? You're
always the little triangle, but I'm specifically talking about the lines in the triangle. We won't go into the I mean, you did power cleans and whatchamacallits with 40 pounds today. So that's like, thanks, why am I gonna hate? I'm not gonna hate, dude. But yeah, I think I think the baby triangle, if I did look at the 3 triangles, I think you're the baby triangle, dude, which is cute. It's so cute. It's like, so, you just want to squeeze its cheeks. But now, in all seriousness, this was actually, when we were kind of working through this was something that I spent a bit of time reflecting on, just the power of of the fact that the triangle has three sides. There's three of us, and that you really, if they're not in alignment, if they're not together, then it just falls apart, man. You just have three sticks, laying on top of each other. What's that? That's lame. That's a lame logo. It's just a line. Dumb logo. It's a short podcast.
So, yeah. 3 sticks, podcast over.
Super lame.
Lots of potential in those sticks.
Lots of potential. Nothing real powerful you could build anything on. So mountains, another element of, as you look at the triangles, there's 3 of them. It also looks like mountains. Mountains are important to us, right? So I just talked about, I'm a fly fisherman. Without mountains, a lot of times you don't have snow melt, and without snow melt, you don't have rivers. Without rivers, you don't have trout, and without trout, this fly fishing is kind of lame. So, for me, I love spending time in the mountains. I love fishing. I love the adventure. I love camping, taking the boys, taking my girls, the family. My wife is actually like a professional camper, so I don't want to minimize. When she goes with us, it's baller. It's a different experience, and she's making fun. She's like, I know when you boys go, there's like no plan. Like, do you guys even have food? I'm like, I don't know. It'll be fine. We have some brats.
Like, yeah, we're gonna go kill a bear.
We're gonna go kill a squirrel. One of the guys was a ninja, and he brought like this giant bin of marinated pork that we cooked over the fire. It was awesome. But anyways, not the point. The mountains are something that are very meaningful for us. We love spending time in God's creation by ourselves. We love spending time in the mountains with our families, and we love doing it with each other, right? We do these snowboard trips, we do these fly fishing trips, we're mountain biking, all these things, hikes. We love being in the mountains because of what they represent for us as well. And specifically for me, it's representative of a very intentional and full life of adventure and purpose. And so the mountains, I went around Burgundy. I want to yell out from the top of a mountain. It's just I look out my window and I look at the mountains, and I get an immediate feeling. I get a draw to it. And it just is there's such a profound meaning of just solitude and being God's creation, and also it represents me being wonderful times and laughter with my friends and family, and it's just it's very, very, very important to us. And we're in Colorado, right? It's just a prominent feature of Colorado, and when I look at those mountains, I feel the strength of the mountains. I feel the security, and I feel the very firm foundation of what mountains mean to us.
Well, that's exactly how we want to be represented as husbands, as fathers, as friends, as leaders. We want to be that firm foundation, right? And we're always, back to the growth and Delta, like we always want to be changing and growing to become better, to be better foundations for our families and for our businesses, for our communities. Because honestly, I think that there's a lot of that missing today. And there's power in that, right? There's power in seeking a tribe of men that all want to become better foundations, stronger, firm in that foundation, to be the leader of their household, to be the leader in their community. And when you put a bunch of mountains together, right, there's strength in that, and there's power, and there's unity. And like you can't grow just all by yourself, right? Stephen, do you want to talk about like kind of just, you've talked about this on a podcast before about kind of the peaks and valleys and highs and lows, and because you hit that really well on that last one.
Yeah, the last element of our logo that was really important to us was the number 3, and we touched on that above. There's 3 of us. A cord that's braided 3 times is the strongest, but the 3 different mountains in our logo are different sizes, and they're different sizes because we're each unique. But we kind of gave an allusion to it earlier when we're talking about we're embracing challenges and change, and those changes are different sizes. And so um, I just was really struck when three of us exited the military. Um, we took different paths um, in terms of finding purpose, and we talked about this a few different times recently, like the big P purpose and little P purpose, and you can have a big P purpose of like we are here to um, one way to put like a hairy goal on it would be like, we're here to end divorce, right? Like we're here to change men's lives and to build community and build tribe and build our tribe and encourage other men to find their tribe wherever it may be, because it will make you a better dad and it might save your marriage and that kind of thing, right? And then there's a little P purpose. I talk a lot about when I had some of my time off after the military, finding myself sitting on my back steps on a Tuesday morning with my kid and like learning how to be a dad on a Tuesday morning, sitting in my backyard enjoying time with my son. I had to learn that. That was not a skill that I had doing the 100% effort as I exited the military and for the last several years. And so our logo has three different size mountains, and those sizes are placed very intentionally, right? You have your first peak. You've got whether it's a career or a business that you started and grew and exited, or you transition out of a W-2 job into entrepreneurship or something like that, right? You can look ahead and you can see that some of the peaks and the challenges that you might have the opportunity to go and tackle and find adventure in and purpose in are big. They're big P purposes. But then some of them are small. Some of them are the learning how to sit in your backyard with your son on a Tuesday morning. And those are smaller peaks, and that's okay, right? Like this goes back to our language of we're redefining success. We are breaking out of the mold of the bigger, faster, better, more efficient world that we live in, and here in the US in particular, of like your second career needs to be bigger. You always need more doors. You always need bigger deals. You should be growing, right? If you're not growing, then in terms of like your capacity to consume business, then that's not a good thing. What we break out of that mold. We say, no, it's okay to find yourselves and enjoy the valleys and the slower points of life while still seeing those peaks out in front and measuring the tall ones and seeing the adventure in them, while also appreciating the smaller ones.
Yeah, man, I love that. And there's we mentioned the book Tribe before, and as you're talking, it came to mind when we talk about these peaks and these valleys, and it's interesting. The one element that I found fascinating, and it's a really good read, the book itself, but John Mark Comer, actually, I was listening to one of his sermons, and he picked up on this piece from that book as well. It's this idea that there were a bunch of examples of during the colonization of the states and all the basically taking land and displacing the native peoples. And he highlights these examples of the numbers of people that, whether they were kidnapped into or somehow assimilated into the Native American tribes, however that happened, they were in it, and if they were quote unquote rescued or came out of it, it was a very short amount of time until they wanted to go back, right? And this is there's stuff written by I think Benjamin Franklin. I mean, a number of people have written on this, and the number of people that went back was huge. And I think it was him specifically who highlighted there is not a single instance of the opposite happening.
Yeah.
And I find that completely fascinating, because when you look at the lifestyles and you look at like what, all this technology, everything we have, and I experienced in my own life, this going out into the mountains and how I feel out there and how much I want to be back into the mountains. There's something there that in the simplification, and again, it comes with intentionality because I think you can have both. It comes with the intentionality of recognizing these peaks and recognizing that a small peak may truly be a huge peak, right? A small peak, a small professional peak may be a huge relational peak. You just don't know, but the intentionality of going into identifying peaks and values of life, and then recognizing that life is not lived with a steady climb of a single mountain, right? It's not just a steady climb and that of a mountain that's devoid of peaks and valleys, but instead life is a series of peaks, and that's what this logo acknowledges. There's a series of different peaks that represent different things, and it's critical and it's important to do it with your eyes open. As Stu, I mean, next 14 and we climb this summer, like let's try and do it with our eyes closed. It's very, very challenging. We have some friends who actually do 14ers in big mountains that have
Not true. My
blind.
eyes were almost closed on the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But I was behind you the whole time. Like, okay,
Steven almost passed
falls
out.
backwards.
I was only seeing black and white by the top, so
yeah,
only partially true.
It was
Only
kind of
partially
closing
true.
in on you, and there was some stars.
But we have friends that have, like, no kidding, were like blown up in war. No, they can't see anymore, and they climb mountains. And we had a guy on the podcast who actually leads wounded warriors up mountains. And but the point is, one, you shouldn't and can't do it by yourself, but two, you have to be, whether it's your eyes or somebody else, or it's a tribe or someone coming alongside you, you have to do it with intentionality and with purpose. And it just, a lot of times most people don't, and they just see Covey talks about the ladders, and we see the professional ladder and climbing the corporate ladder. Like, we see this one-dimensional thing leaning against a wall, and then oftentimes you realize, oh man, I just climbed the wrong ladder. I spent a long time climbing the wrong ladder. I was on the wrong wall. I don't even like this ladder. Like, this is terrible, because you don't do it with intentionality, right? And so that's the point of these peaks. That's the point of recognizing their different sizes. That's the point of the valleys. You're going to be in a valley, and sometimes you're going to seek out the valley, but at the end of the day, the valley could potentially lead to another peak, right? And the valley could also be a place of discovery. It could be a place of that solitude. It could be a place of that rest, and all these things we talked about. And so I just think that the power comes in the choices we make to intentionally live the journey of life, and not just wander aimlessly, not just climb ladders, but to pursue peaks, to identify peaks, to do it in a tribe. And I think that the kinetic man, that the men in our group, that those that are the future members of our group, they have a purpose for the journey. It's not just to get to the end of it, right? It's to maximize it, and to do it with intentionality, and to go into the valley, and to go into the peaks, and to do these things with meaning and purpose and clarity and vision, and to do it, to honestly pursue it. Like, I want this for my life. I want this change. You know what I mean? And we talk about a tribe, and one thing I want to go back to, like, take a look at the mountains. But just take a look at the mountains, take a look up from space, or just drive through the mountains. Dude, they're so different, right? Like, every peak is uniquely different. And there's, but when you're driving through, like, I love the drive from Colorado to California, because you go through the Rockies, come out in Utah, you go into these beautiful mountains in Utah, and you hit down in Arizona. There's amazing mountains there, beautiful, vastly different, very powerful, very powerful. The mountain ranges, extremely powerful things. And that's what I love about our group, right? I love about our group is, you look at our group, and it's such a different, our tribe is from all walks of life. They're men of different colors, shapes, size, skill set, like all those different things. And just like the mountain ranges, you look, and they're different structures, peaks and rocks and valleys and rivers and all that kind of stuff. Our men are different, but we're together. We're together, and there's a lot of power and strength in that. And so I just that's some of the thought that went into our logo, right? And And again, I hope the meaning comes through, because it's not about a logo and a pretty shirt and all that. I mean, it's great, and we'll have a website soon. You can go purchase shirts and send us money, and that's all great. Like that's amazing, and the hats are going to be dope, and it's all going to be good. But at the end of the day, man, like our heart is to bring men together to be intentional through these aspects of life, and to come out, not come out, to continue to live and grow and be better husbands, fathers, friends, leaders, and to live a life that is so profound that by the end of it, I was talking to a guy yesterday about this. By the end of life, most of us get there and are like, oh man, I should have, and I would have, and I could have. Dude, when it's my time to go, man, I want my family and my friends to be there celebrating, like, dude, all the things that we did together that were so much fun, that were so intentional. How many times I told them I loved them, and I hugged them and I kissed them. My friends too. Awkward kisses, but it's memorable.
20-second hugs, baby. 20-second hugs.
20-second hugs. And so this is the kind of life I want to live. This is the kind of life I want to live. So I wear this logo with pride and meaning and depth. And I desire every dude I come into contact with to have this kind of life.
So just to kind of put a wrap on that logo, you got the triangles, which represent the delta, the change. You've got the mountains, which is adventure, kind of our foundation. And you've got 3. But I do want to, this isn't in our notes, but you said something that I think is really cool. Talking about the guide, right? I think that you hear this, that a lot of disappointment in life is mismatched expectations. And I think a lot of us leave college, leave high school, head out into the world with the expectation that it is a steady climb uphill, right? And you get to this quote unquote midlife crisis time because you realize that if you've ever climbed a 14er, right, like a false summit, you get to these valleys and these points where you're definitely not at the bottom of the mountain, but you are disappointed maybe where you find yourself in that moment. And I think that that's what leads to men in our age range, right? The end of kind of the first long uphill, the first 10 years, the first 15 years of their career. And that's what kind of attracts the men of our peers to something like the message that the Kinetic Man has. And so my message would be, like David talked about the guide, you can do this on your own, but it's dangerous. Or you can do it with a guide, with a tribe, with a climbing party, with somebody who has probably gone with another party before and have seen some of the false peaks and some of the dangerous spots. And that's all that the 3 of us are, right? We've talked about this. Like we drove our own train wrecks out of the military and through transition. And we've seen some of those, and we had each other. We had the 3 of us. We had some mentors. We had some folks who really helped put us back on our feet. And that's what we are to the men around us, is just some guides that have seen a little bit of this before. But the most important thing is that we're a tribe doing it together.
That's deep, dude. I like that. You just come up with that on your own all of a sudden?
Blind
Just like that?
squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
Hey, I finally realized, I was thinking through this as we were talking. David, I know what mountain you are. You're kind of the shorter, kind of the wide one. The wide, kind of short, kind of squatty one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
But the one that's just high enough that's above the tree line. So
Just
it's a bald on top.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to, and I thank you guys. I thank you for recognizing, acknowledging that. And, the only part I don't like about that analogy is that mountain often casts a shadow on the little baby mountain. Right. And so the little baby mountain never gets the sunshine and never gets to really get the full experience of life, because it's just a little baby mountain. It's just a little baby mountain.
There's enough reflection off that snowy peak. Don't worry.
That's right.
That's true. That's true. That's true. No, it's good, man. Now, I've enjoyed the process of coming up with this logo with you guys, and even the times that we like literally went back and forth and had to jump off of calls because we're like, okay, I'm just frustrated with you guys right now, and usually that was you guys towards me. But I think, I think that at the end of it, things should have deep meaning, right? Like even pursuing a logo should be an intentional exercise. Like it should mean something to you. And I think the thought, because it's indicative of the amount of effort and thought and passion that you pour into everything that you do, right? How you do, what is that quote, that famous quote? How you do something is how you do everything, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think Stu Grazer said that sometime or another. I don't know when that
Yes.
was.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Stu Grazer said that for sure. How you do one thing is how you do everything, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that was
it. But it's yeah, I wrote it down when you said it. It was really, really good. But at the end of the day, it's true. It is true. If you're lazy, you're gonna be lazy in everything. If you're passionate, if you're a passionate person who really wants to make an impact and to have meaning in the things that you do, like that's just the way you do life. And it's my pleasure to do life with dudes like that. And I'll tell you, the Kinetic Man, what's amazing about it is full of dudes that want to do life like that, right? And I know if you're listening, there's a really good chance that, like, who wouldn't want to do life like that? I would not want to live, now that I've tasted it and seen other men and being challenged. Man, I would not want to live. I would not want to go back to a life with my eyes closed. Even yesterday, dude, we went through the fun. One of the houses is doing fun right now. And I had a very deep, profound, we've done it with 4 or 5. I mean, we've done it a bunch of times. And so even though we're quote unquote guiding and facilitating these houses, dude, I had an extremely profound, and I'll tell you, I had an extremely profound moment yesterday. And I talked to my I talked to my kids about it. And they are like, Dad, I would love to do that with you. And I'm like, wow, this is significant. And it basically, what I'm talking about, I viewed this activity that it's video games and whatnot, I viewed it in a very, very negative light. And yesterday, just something one of the guys said challenged me to view it differently, as an opportunity to just maybe spend a little bit of extra time with my kids doing something they really enjoy. And it was extreme. Sounds simple, and to some people may sound dumb. To me, it was very, it was transformative, because I'm like the anti video game guy, and my kids, it actually had an impact on them. And so it's just an interesting thing, right? Like, this tribe will constantly challenge you to evolve. And I'm looking forward now to another opportunity to grow, to spend time with my kids and to have them like be full of joy and laughter, hanging out with daddy. Like, that's pretty cool.
Recording this podcast has challenged my legs, and I'm in pain right now, so we're going to have to stop this real soon.
Suck it up, buttercup.
It has slowly been sliding down the screen. I know that the podcast listeners can't see this, but he's actually having to tilt his head up so that we still see his eyes.
And my legs are in pain. My knees are in pain. So go be kinetic.
What is pain? Action. What is pain? What is pain?
Weakness leaving my body.
Yeah. Love it. Go be kinetic. Hey, there's lots of ways. thekineticman.com, www.thekineticman.com. Go check it out. Look at the ways we can connect. We have a retreat coming up 27 through 29 September here in Colorado. Beautiful mountains, amazing site, absolutely powerful gathering of incredible dudes. We got the mastermind, another house, doors are opening up. Lots of things to do, lots of ways to connect. No excuses.
Go find a tribe. And if redefining success and taking action is your thing, then this might be your tribe.
Yeah. See it. Man, we have exciting news. We're opening up the next house of the Kinetic Man Mastermind. I tell you, it's the most important hour of the week that I go to, that I attend. I change every single week for the better to become the best husband, the best father, the best friend, and the best leader in our community. This is a time that you can choose to make a major impact in your life. Go to thekineticman.com and sign up. It's an application. It is exclusive. We are looking for the right man to take action and join us to be the hero of their journey. Come join us, thekineticman.com. Do it.
Thank you for listening to the Kinetic Man podcast. If you are growth-minded, community-focused, and willing to take uncommon action to redefine success and live an abundant life, visit our website at www.thekineticman.com to see all the ways we can connect.
And on our website, you can find more information on everything we're doing, like joining our meetup page to get the details on our webinars and our local Thursday gatherings here in Colorado. From our site, you can also find more information on and sign up for the next Kinetic Man retreat and the next house of our mastermind group. Finally, we always appreciate your love and support. Please share this episode and go rate us on your favorite podcast player of choice.
Thank you again. Now go take uncommon action.